Hey, what's going on, guys? You downloaded a brand new episode of Speaking Wrestling with Elvis Arroyo, and this is episode 33. And this week we are speaking Crown Jewel, Smackdown, Raw. Also going to give you guys what to watch and also performers and floppers of the week. But before we get into that, guys, I want to give you a reminder to head on over to our YouTube page, hit subscribe. You can find us over there at Speaking Wrestling, and also you can follow us on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling and on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. Alright guys, and let's take it back all the way to Crown Jewel last week, where a whole lot of things went down, a whole lot of news came out of that one night, and also new champion crowned at Crown Jewel last week as Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, became the Universal Champion, defeating Seth Rollins in a Falls Count Anywhere match. You had Tyson Fury defeating Braun Strowman in a knockout via countout outside of the ring, and also you had Brock Lesnar, who defended the WWE Championship against Cain Velasquez, and what was a very quick but very impressive match. And let's start there, guys. Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez squaring off in a WWE ring, and right when this match started, guys, it really felt much different. I mean, if you really kept up with Bloodsport, you kind of know that this style is kind of going around right now. It's a mix of MMA and professional wrestling, and I think I like this. I like the style a lot. I think you can tell a lot more when there's two guys that are not wrestlers but come from an MMA background, but with the incorporation of that, you can tell story now rather than it be a real competition, a real fight. I think you can tell some more interesting stories there, and this is a good start right here. I mean, we might be looking into the future of professional wrestling and where it goes, because now WWE and professional wrestling does welcome in a lot of wrestlers and performers with MMA backgrounds and fighting wrestling backgrounds as well. And this was a really good showcasing of those styles. Of course, we had Brock Lesnar, who tapped out Cain Velasquez here in very impressive fashion here. Cain Velasquez, he's more of a knockout guy, so I think he was looking more for the knockout. Very interesting that Brock went for a submission hold here. But, you know, Brock has a lot of moves up in his arsenal, so he picks up the win here with the Kimura lock. But really what comes out of this is what happened post-match, and that is that Brock Lesnar was attacked by Rey Mysterio with a chair, and obviously Rey Mysterio still heated and, you know, vengeful over what Brock Lesnar did to his son Dominic and himself as well, taking them out, both putting him on the shelf and still getting retribution, and also looking out for his friend, who is the godfather of Dominic, his son, Cain Velasquez here. So the story between Brock Lesnar seemed to continue on here, and it looks like we're headed in that direction. And with the reports that Cain Velasquez will also be on the shelf with an injury, prior injury before coming into WWE. He'll have that checked out, and he'll be back in no time. So look forward to that. But for right now, the Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio saga continues, and it carried over onto SmackDown with the WWE Champion, Brock Lesnar, quitting Friday Night SmackDown. Quitting and headed on over to Monday Night Raw, where he is after Rey Mysterio. And it makes sense. You can't continue that storyline that's hot right now if Brock is a SmackDown superstar and Rey got drafted over to Monday Night Raw. So with the Beast Brock Lesnar headed over to Monday Night Raw with the WWE Championship in tow, it only meant that the Fiend Bray Wyatt, the newly crowned Universal Champion, will be making his way over to his home, in which he was drafted by Fox, over to Friday Night SmackDown. So interesting stuff once again did come out of Crown Jewel. And of course, the big news over the weekend was that there was some flight delays, and several of the superstars and crew, half a dozen or 2 dozen superstars, were able to make it out of Saudi Arabia in charter flights. And of course, Vince McMahon and those top elites that ride with him, like Hogan, Flair, Jimmy Hart, Brock Lesnar, Tyson Fury, rode with Vince, and they left Saudi Arabia early. They were the first ones to leave, but the crew and the rest of the talent stayed about 2 nights. They completed the show, and their flight was delayed about a day and a half, which then prompted up concerns whether the crew and the talent was even going to make it back to SmackDown, as SmackDown the next night, Friday, was live from Buffalo, New York. And of course, Brock Lesnar being one of the first ones to get out was reason why Brock Lesnar was able to make it on to the opening of SmackDown and quit. But for the rest of the talent that was still stuck on a tarmac in Saudi Arabia or getting a hotel because they're staying over, not going to come over and make the Friday night show, with just little time and no notice at all, really. WWE calls an audible and has NXT superstars fill in for Friday Night SmackDown. And this was very interesting because we saw Shayna Baszler make her way in, and as she just demolished Bayley and Sasha Banks, made her statement. We also saw Matt Riddle and Keith Lee as they did a number on Sami Zayn. We also saw Tegan Nox and Rhea Ripley in action. We also saw Bianca Belair tearing it up backstage. We even got a special Miz TV with Tommaso Ciampa, which led to a very good Tommaso Ciampa match with The Miz. Good stuff there. But the cherry on top of it all was Daniel Bryan facing Adam Cole for the NXT Championship in the main event of SmackDown. Guys, this has got to be one of the greatest episodes of SmackDown this year. Maybe one of the top. Having an NXT invasion where they are coming and taking over the show, taking advantage of the roster and of the company while the roster is stuck in Saudi Arabia, and prompting that NXT is here to take on both Raw and SmackDown, which the timing of it is very fitting, into Survivor Series. Right now in NXT versus Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, all three brands that are on prime television throughout the week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, which they are competing for numbers. They are the same company, and now have a chance to actually cross-brand and compete on one night. Quick turnaround from what's going on in Saudi Arabia and the lead up to Crown Jewel, and then the news that comes after Crown Jewel. And don't get me wrong, it is sad that a lot of the talent and crew had to spend Halloween, had to spend just another extra night in Saudi Arabia because of an airplane malfunction. But guys, look, it's the job that these people signed up to do. Sometimes it's not going to work out the way that everybody expects it to work out, but in the end, everyone's safe, everyone's okay, everyone's back home. But the outcome of what those events led to having one of these great episodes of Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, no less, having talent make their debut, their main roster debut for the first time on an episode of SmackDown. And again, guys, the main event between Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan for the NXT Championship is a classic one. They got a lot of time in this one. This episode went straight to this match with about 30 minutes left, and they had a great match. You can definitely tell Daniel Bryan was extra motivated this night. You can just see it in him that this is the type of match that he wants. This is the type of match Daniel Bryan wanted so bad to come back to wrestling. And he got it. He got a great match. And again, no problem for Daniel Bryan putting over a young guy like Adam Cole, and in the position that puts Adam Cole in here, and then again makes NXT look that more dominant. The fact that they came in and weren't treated like, in most cases, and other NXT talent has been treated when they come up to the main roster. The fact that this was an NXT invasion, that they all stood strong with one another, definitely showcases that, you know, this NXT, or maybe this version of NXT superstars is unlike other, or clearly they're not being controlled by a Vince McMahon or the Raw or SmackDown writing team. They're coming into Raw and SmackDown with Triple H. And Triple H does play a big role into this because he is the leader of NXT. That's his baby down there in Full Sail. It's what he's created, and all this talent that comes in through NXT is talent that he himself goes out and signs. Just like when he went out and signed Seth Rollins, which brings us to our next topic, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw was out there to make a career announcement of his future. And Seth Rollins made it very clear that losing the way he did and the build up to him dropping the title and this whirlwind of emotion the last several months, whether it's dealing with fans on Twitter or the feedback that he gets or the booking, that it's taken a toll on Seth Rollins. And conquering Brock Lesnar and going through that uphill battle of taking the title off of him, only for Brock once again to show up on Monday Night Raw with the WWE Championship. I mean, you can kind of understand that Seth Rollins feels like he gave it all he's got just to wind back in the same spot. And again, no one to give him any credit or any respect for accomplishing any of that and what he did with it. And of course, the fans have been very critical of Seth Rollins, and a lot is to blame on Seth Rollins himself. I mean, he kind of does it to himself when he shoots his own foot on Twitter, or when he makes foolish remarks about another brand or another superstar who he shouldn't be making, because he's better than that. He is the WWE champion, and in some ways, the fans do hold a champion accountable to a higher standard than anyone else, and I do think that even past champions feel the same way about Seth Rollins. So a lot of criticism about Seth Rollins, the character, and I think right now it's that turning point in whether it's time for him to fold and listen to the critics, or go in a direction that's helped him and favored him, and that is Triple H, because Triple H has always been there helping and assisting Seth Rollins along the way. I mean, you talk about back in NXT, and Triple H mentioned this in his promo on Monday night, signing Seth Rollins and helping Seth Rollins become the first ever NXT champion when they headed down to Full Sail after leaving FCW, positioning Seth Rollins with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose to form the Shield, assisting Seth Rollins with capturing that Money in the Bank and putting him in that position where he can cash it in at WrestleMania like he did, or even positioning Seth Rollins to slay the King, Triple H himself, at WrestleMania. Triple H has been there helping and guiding Seth Rollins all the way, and in a time when Seth Rollins feels that he has nowhere else to turn to and he's too tired to really care anymore because of the criticism and because of the effort, just to feel overwhelmed, his only other option is to turn to Triple H, who will help him get back on that horse, get him back on that trail to once again reclaim the Universal Championship, to reclaim the WWE Championship, to be the man on top of the mountain. And Triple H offered him a spot in NXT. But Seth Rollins being Seth Rollins, of course, can't let that be, because he made it clear that if he's going to go to NXT, he wants to be the top guy and he wants to be NXT champion, claiming that he's not Daniel Bryan, that he's better than Daniel Bryan, and he will defeat Adam Cole if he gives him that shot for the NXT Championship in the main event of Monday Night Raw. And guys, again, another classic here from Adam Cole. This one going in a no decision DQ because of interference of the Undisputed Era on Seth Rollins, which then caused a big melee of the WWE superstars, NXT superstars on Monday Night Raw. But again, very interesting stuff. See where this goes into. And now that we're heading into Survivor Series, and of course, we've been having these matches in the past, Survivor Series, champion versus champion. Of course, it's brand versus brand, but now you throw in NXT, that third option. And with Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against Rey Mysterio at Survivor Series, I mean, you can't have a Brock and Bray match. Bray right now is up in the air who his next opponent is, that being Seth Rollins is back on Raw. We might be looking at a Seth Rollins, Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan triple threat match for the NXT Championship, therefore elevating the NXT Championship higher than what it really means at this point to just the NXT brand. It's now being held as, possibly the third major championship in the company. So good stuff there. If it is headed in that direction, I would love to see that. And speaking of triple threat matches, we know that there's going to be a women's triple threat match between the women's champion in NXT, Shayna Baszler, the Raw women's champion, Becky Lynch, and the Smackdown women's champion, Bayley. And this match is one that I'm really looking forward to the most, because all three women, I'm very huge fans of their performances and what they can do in the ring. But really, when we're talking about Becky, we're talking about the promo that her and Shayna both shared and delivered this past Monday night on Raw. This was top of the line production. This is the best stuff WWE has done. I've never seen an interview like this in so long. I mean, we can talk about those classic one-on-one sit-down promos. There's those with Brock and Roman leading up to WrestleMania, which, match wasn't great, but the promos were. And then we also have that classic 2001 right before WrestleMania 17 with Jim Ross, Austin, and The Rock. I mean, who can forget about that? That's the best promo there. This is right up there with one of the best promos leading into a match, and really an introduction for these two ladies. This is the first time we've ever seen Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch together in the same picture frame. This has a story already written, already built, and meant for these two women to cross paths at some point. Of course, there is that tie-in with Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler coming from the MMA world and being very close friends with Ronda Rousey. Therefore, they make up the Four Horsewomen, which, who knows, this could finally lead to that moment where we actually get the Four Horsewomen of NXT against the original Four Horsewomen. This promo, the production, the face-to-face was great, and of course the verbiage from these two. Shayna delivering a very clear statement to Becky Lynch that she is much more superior and dominant, and that will just tear her apart when she's going to get the opportunity to. But of course Becky, who, you know, is very good at standing her ground and is the man for many reasons, and for this promo right here, not backing down from the challenge or feeling intimidated, owning her spot, owning the moment. Becky Lynch definitely knocked it out of the ballpark. This promo is a classic in my eyes. I love it. And right now the women are kicking ass. I mean, you have Charlotte Flair and Natty teaming up to take on the Kabuki Warriors, but just the thought of them teaming up, they pick up their second victory here, and what was a great match. A little sloppy at some points, I'll be honest, guys, but this match was terrific. I love these four women. I'd love to see Charlotte and a Kairi Sane one-on-one match. That would be awesome. Like, let them really go. And honestly, I think Natty and Asuka had some pretty good chemistry last night. I'd love to see them go one-on-one. So if we get some interchangeable matches, some one-on-one stuff before it leads into title match between these four women, I would love to see that. And also Lana and Rusev, and of course Lashley, or Bob Lashley. Good stuff here. I love it. Once again, they are turning up the heat little by little, week by week. I love it. Once again, Lana and Rusev delivering great promos, and Lashley. I mean, this guy, who would have thought that this guy has so much charisma in him? Why didn't Vince give this man a microphone and let him shine so many years ago? I mean, maybe he wouldn't have left. Well, maybe he would have, because, you know, they weren't really doing good stuff back then, 07, 08, 06. Anyways, great stuff. I love this stuff. I love it. It doesn't turn me away. I think Rusev is funny. He's hilarious. He's so honest and humble, and that's what makes his promos when he's on the mic so special. And Lana right now, I mean, her playing this role, it's just fun to see, because, you know, they are really married, and they're going out there and portraying a role that's so opposite of what their real life. And Bobby Lashley having so much fun coming out here, sustaining an injury over the past week, and not from performing or Crown Jewel or anything like that. He tore his groin from all the positions and all the fun that he's having with Lana. So I love that. I love when he mentioned he had a groin injury. It's like, please go somewhere dirty with this. You got to go somewhere dirty with this. Please. And they did, of course, just a little bit. Being safe, of not to be, you know, to the point where it's going to make even those that like what they see so far turn away. So good stuff from them. And despite the fallout of Crown Jewel and everything that came out of it, guys, we now have a build to Survivor Series, a very good one, a very interesting one, with NXT now coming into the fold and coming into play in this whole brand against brand, now against other brand. Some good stuff there. And it's time for What to Watch. And this week's What to Watch, guys, it's this week's NXT, because you never know who's going to show up. Anybody from Raw or SmackDown going to go down to Full Sail and retaliate. So that's a must watch, and that's a What to Watch. And it is now time for our performers and floppers of the week. This is where I give you guys my MVPs and floppers of the week. My MVP for the week, I mean, how can this guy not be MVP for the week? NXT champion Adam Cole performing on Smackdown against Daniel Bryan, a very game Daniel Bryan, and also against Seth Rollins, a very motivated Seth Rollins, knocking out of the ballpark. Adam Cole showing why he right now is the champion and the leader of the Undisputed Era. Good stuff. And it's also good to see Undisputed Era featured on, Raw and SmackDown. But I really want to see more of them. Maybe go against a Roman or Seth. So it should be interesting stuff there. And flopper of the week, guys. Flopper of the week for me was Street Profits. I mean, they're just not doing it for me, man. I don't find them anything a bit of interesting. Maybe down in NXT for a minute, I thought they were okay. But just the promos, D'Angelo Dawkins, he ain't funny at all. And then bringing in Humberto Carrillo, who is only third week in and is already being put into a position where he's being humiliated and run stupid lines. So Street Profits are my floppers of the week. And with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for me. But before we get on out of here, I want to give you guys a big shout out and a big thank you to all of you listeners. And thank you to everybody that's been subscribing on Spotify, on YouTube. Thank you so much. And you can help me grow this podcast by retweeting us over on Twitter at Speaking Wrestle. You can also follow us, like and comment all the posts on Instagram at Speaking Wrestling. And again, subscribe on YouTube at Speaking Wrestling. All right, guys, we'll be back this Friday with episode 34 for AEW NXT Talk. See you guys then. Have a great week. Bye-bye.